It's February 15th, 2024. And this is a passage from Isaiah 14. It's Isaiah 14:3. And I should say something about the work, which is that this is Christian art. I'm a Christian artist. However, I'm not an Orthodox or standard or modern or contemporary Christian at all. I don't have that much in common with modern Christianity, with its art, with its politics, or anything else. But I do around the edges, as always. I'm in a 1 or 2 percentile of unusual people that don't fit any particular conformist church or belief system, generalized or not. So many Christians, most Christians consider my work demonic or demented, or what Hitler would have called degenerate art. That's the irony, isn't it? That see Hitler and the contemporary Christians who consider what I do demented. It's not Christian. I mean, Christians don't have this kind of vulgarity and grotesqueness and bizarre hybrid beings and all that. That's impure. Jesus is always in a, he's white almost invariably, isn't he? And he's also has white sheep, and he's got a white dove, and he's got pure white robes. I've got a different Jesus in mind, who has a sword coming out of his mouth, and is coming on the clouds in glory and terror in the last judgment. And I was raised Catholic, and I've always believed that, but in a general sense. See that little insect that comes across the paper? See him again? It's hyperlapse, so he's like the Roadrunner. And I draw him into, this is funny, because my process, this is what I'm talking about. I draw the insect in there above that figure. My process is completely spontaneous. It's not me doing it. That's why I bring up the Christian part, because it's serving the will of God the Father, and that's always been the case with my search for God. I saw becoming an artist as a spiritual path and as a search for God, and very early on, I'm talking about high school, and very specifically seeing myself as a reincarnation of the Northern Renaissance painters in Flanders and what's now Holland, Brussels, and you name it. And there's a lot of those painters that continue to this day, right? But James Ensor being the most notable from the last century, whose work prophesied the First and Second World Wars, and Ensor lived through the First and Second World Wars, even though he was in 1886 or 87 or so is when he made his famous painting of the entry of Christ into Brussels. Where did I just start reminiscing basically when I'm drawing. These are the kind of things that go through my head while I'm located daily in following the end times as I see them, the end times events happening with World War III that many people, most people, seem intent on thinking as some kind of passing fancy that's will be solved in the 5-year plan or their 10-year investments. And I don't know. I'm not. That's why I say I'm not a prophet. I simply have these are my visions. That's what artists do. That's My understanding of artist role is to be a visionary, to have visions, not to have ideas, not to think thoughts. I don't think, including Duchamp. None of these. What is this? Here's my idea. Put a toilet in the gallery. Put a bicycle tire wheel in the gallery. Dress up androgynously. Make a lot of puns. These aren't really interesting ideas visually. I hate to break it to the Dadaist, but the work doesn't have any visionary content, which is why we look at art, or I do anyway. I look for the visionary reality in Egyptian, Persian, etc., etc. But in my case, Christian, because that's the tradition that I grew up in and believe in and belong to. Although I refrain from, you know, saying which religion is the proper denomination, because that gets into uh, areas that I'm not comfortable with, because I don't consider myself God. I don't consider myself to have all the answers, and I'm pursuing them in my work personally, in relationship to God, and not to human beings who are not reliable in my experience, as sources of the truth. And Jesus Christ, for me, is reliable as a source of truth and the way and the life. And this is the life I'm witnessing to. And it's playful. I mean, I don't see art as it's painful to do, but it has its benefits of play.